It's The Log. I'm Charles Purcell. So, check your bank account this morning. You may have gotten your $600 from the U.S. Treasury. Yeah, they've already started automatic deposits, and checks are going out momentarily here. They're getting right on it. Yep, the first direct deposits have already gone out. You may already be a winner. Good for you. Congratulations. The drama continues in the Senate today. You may have heard late last night, Moscow Mitch said, okay, here's a standalone bill for the $2,000 checks. Oh, wait, it's not quite a standalone bill. We're going to add this Section 230 internet provision that, that the Orange Menace wants, and also his commission to look for fraud in the 2020 election. So the whole point was, of course, Mitch combined it with the other two issues because he knew that the Democrats wouldn't vote for it, because those are the little games he plays. By the way, the AP story this morning, the headline read, Trump's $2,000 checks stall in Senate as GOP blocks vote. Trump's $2,000 checks? Wait a minute. They're giving him all the credit? I guess I can understand why. I mean, he is the one who opened this gate. But progressives have been asking for $2,000 forever, since the beginning, and more. So, yeah, I'm not wild about that little headline there. What are you doing? And probably goes without saying, but you do realize that a handful of Republican senators are the only ones in all of America who don't want this. The House wants it. It was a bipartisan vote. The base of both parties want it. Republicans want it. Democrats want it. Independents want it. The Orange Menace wants the 2,000. Everybody in this country, except a couple of dozen Republican senators. I find this pretty funny, too. Among the Republican senators who are in favor of the $2,000 checks, of course, David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler, because they have to. Otherwise, they have no chance of winning this runoff election in Georgia. And the other two have gone on record. Josh Hawley of Missouri and Marco Rubio of Florida, both well known for seeking the 2024 presidential nomination in their party. So they're all for it because they want to run for president. And they know if they go with Mitch on this, they can't win the presidency. Oh, politics, man. Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. So we'll see how the rest of today goes. Bernie's out there fighting for us, like always. Says he's going to filibuster the defense bill veto override. Make them all stay. That's where they're going to celebrate New Year's Eve. Oh, C-SPAN is going to, the ratings are going to just go through the roof, C-SPAN. I can see that poor C-SPAN line producer now. I'm sorry, honey. I got to work New Year's Eve. Here's something. We're not entirely alone. We talked yesterday, of course, about the 25th Amendment, as we have several times. The Orange Menace is a clear and present danger, and he continues to commit crimes on a daily basis. He flaunts his crimes. So I've been calling for the 25th Amendment. I don't care if there's only 3 weeks to go. I don't care. I've also called several times for impeachment. And I know people think I'm crazy. Nope, do it. Impeach the guy again. And we have some backup now. Opinion columnist Hayes Brown, MSNBC opinion columnist, says, yeah, impeach. Over the pardons, we talked at length yesterday about how the pardons are criminal acts in and of themselves. You can go back to his previous crimes that Mueller spelled out for us in his report. And you can toss in sedition for the way he's spearheading this dangerous mob reaction over the election results by fabricating these stories of election fraud. So toss it all in and impeach him again. Now, Hayes Brown has an interesting point that I hadn't considered. This might need some further study. But according to this guy, you can get all your impeachment ducks in a row as soon as the new Congress is seated. That happens on January 3rd. You can get right down to business, and no, you won't finish before inauguration. Now, I've seen other opinions where you can just do this in a couple of days. There's no reason it has to stretch out for weeks and months. But Brown says even if it does go past inauguration and well into Joe Biden's presidency, you can still hold the trial. Of course, the actual impeachment has to happen, and that certainly could happen because that only requires the House of Representatives, just like before. But the trial itself could take its own sweet time after the Orange Menace is out of office. And now you might think, well, what's the point? The penalty is removal from office. Aha, but no. That's only one of the penalties set out in the Constitution. The other, you are hereby prohibited from ever running for office again. That's part 2. And those 2 penalties, removal from office and disqualification for ever running again, can be voted on separately. So think of the upside. We'd have the satisfaction of him being the only president ever impeached twice. And if we can get the guy convicted, he's disqualified from running again. That's worth it. That's absolutely worth it. So I'm back on the impeachment bandwagon as well. Why not? It's the right thing to do. Okay. Well, item 3. I think we're on item 3. We got lots of things to get through here. I feel the pressure of the end of the year coming. I feel like there are things I have to clear off my table here. Once the new year happens, I feel like it's going to be old news. Okay, Gallup has to change the way they do this most admired person. I guess they have most admired man and most admired woman. I think they still separate it gender-wise. That's one thing they're going to probably have to change. But here, the problem is, and you may have heard the news, for the past 12 years, Barack Obama has been the most admired man in America, according to Gallup poll. Now, it's pretty common for the president to be the most admired man while he holds office. But in the first 3 years of the Orange Menace administration, the previous president continued to be the most admired man. Well, this year, 15% of respondents answered Barack Obama, but he had some competition that he didn't have last year. 6% of respondents said that Joe Biden was the man they most admired, and 3% said Anthony Fauci, putting him in 4th place. So Obama, Biden, Fauci combined, that's, 15 and 6 is 21 and 3 is 24%. 24%. And then I guess the rest, this article doesn't tell me. I guess there are a whole bunch of people, Tom Hanks and who knows, who all get like 1% or less. A whole bunch of people, I imagine, fill out the rest of that 100%. But here's the part I've been avoiding because I don't want to say it out loud. The Orange Menace received 18%, making him number 1 in the survey. And he gets to carry the label most admired man in America, according to Gallup. Now, see, that's just screwy. So the Orange Menace has busted through every norm we can think of. And now here's another one. This Gallup most admired man or woman thing, they have to change the way they do it. They have to go to an automatic runoff, a ranked kind of voting. You know how that works, right? Where you list your top candidate, but then you list the other candidates as well. So you give people the option. Give me your top 3 or 4 most admired people and put them in order. Because do you honestly think that the Orange Menace would be the second choice of those who voted for Obama? Or the second choice of those who voted for Joe or Dr. Fauci? Of course not. So, Gallup poll, go to ranked voting automatic runoff next year. Please, would you? Because this is crazy. 18%. And you know, you and I have been talking about this for a while. Everybody wants to say we're a divided nation. I won't go back into this. We've gone over and over this. That half the nation likes Trump and half the nation doesn't. And no. 18%. That's the same 18% that's been there from the beginning. Only 1 out of 5. Yes, it's way too many. Yes, it's still millions of people, but it's 20%. It's less. It's 18%. It's less than 1 in 5 Americans are with this guy. It's not half the nation. So don't think that. And when people see this headline, Orange Menace, most admired man of 2020, they're going to believe it. They're not going to read the story. They're just going to see the headline. It's 18%. It's those same whack job 18%ers. I just searched most admired woman. And of course, no surprise, it's Michelle Obama again. How many years in a row is that for her? Oh, only the 3rd year in a row for her. Vice President-elect Kamala Harris came in 2nd. Let's see, Melania Trump, Oprah Winfrey, Angela Merkel, Hillary Clinton, AOC, Amy Coney Barrett, all getting votes, getting mentions. Greta Thunberg, Dolly Parton. Yeah, okay. All right, so there you go. But yeah, Gallup, you know what? Change the way you do this. Give us an automatic runoff, please. Because this is just not right. This is it's just not right. Oh, hey, we talked quite a lot yesterday about this interesting calendar coming up. 3 weeks from today is inauguration. 4 days from today is January 3rd when they install the new Congress. The Georgia runoff election ends on January 5th. People have been voting for quite a while. Not sure what early voting hours look like over the holiday weekend. So, those of you in Georgia, I know we have listeners in Georgia, make sure you voted. And if you haven't, make your plans for the day of January 5th. And then, of course, that big joint session of Congress where they officially recognize the electoral votes. So we talked all about that. The one thing we didn't mention, though, January 3rd, as soon as the new Congress is sworn in, they vote on their leadership right away. So there won't be any surprises. Nancy Pelosi will be the Speaker of the House, but will she? Yeah, she will. I'm not gonna tease you. I'm not gonna pretend it's not what it is. But you may have heard about Force the Vote. Hashtag Force the Vote. Progressives are calling on their representatives in the House to withhold their vote for Nancy Pelosi unless she commits to Medicare for All. In fact, there's an event tonight you might be interested in where they're going to be talking about this very thing. Cornel West will be one of the speakers. Bree Joy Gray, Jimmy Dore, others. Progressive commentators, intellectuals. The same coalition that had the People's Party convention over the summer. They're advocating for a People's Party, and they're asking progressives who have a D next to their name to really be progressives. So they're calling for a third party, but they're also trying to work with progressives already in office. And I think that makes sense. It's really following the Tea Party model, which I think is the way to go. I've always admired the Tea Party for their success, not for their policies, but for their success. It was kind of a quasi-third party. And they, for quite a while, until Trump came along, they took over the Republican Party. And it worked kind of brilliantly. So the idea is to have the back of real progressives already in office. It's to run progressives against moderate and conservative Democrats, to primary them, and then to force action like this. And in this case, it's to withhold your vote for Nancy Pelosi as Speaker unless she commits to bringing Medicare for All to the House. Here's the letter they write. Dear progressive members of Congress, we invite you to join us at a live town hall meeting on Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, that's tonight, to discuss forcing a vote on Medicare for All. Tens of millions of Americans are struggling without health care in the middle of a pandemic, and we have a fleeting opportunity to bring Medicare for All to the floor of the House for a vote. Medicare for All is overwhelmingly popular, and forcing the vote has enormous support in the progressive movement. Please join thousands of your biggest supporters to discuss hashtag Force the Vote. So I will invite you right now, 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central, tonight, Wednesday, December 30th, Force the Vote Town Hall. Now, there are 15 members of Congress who are getting special invitations. Progressives, AOC, Ayanna Pressley, Barbara Lee, others, including my favorite Cori Bush from Missouri, who I often talk about, Ilhan Omar, Jamal Bowman, Jamie Raskin, just saw him the other day in an interview. He's a very impressive guy. Katie Porter, everybody loves Katie Porter. Mark Pocan, my guy from Wisconsin. Pramila Jayapal, Rashida Tlaib, Grijalva, Ro Khanna, another guy. Man, check this guy out. You want to be inspired? Just hit up YouTube for a Ro Khanna interview. Yep, we got some good people. We have some real progressives in office right now. They hold seats of power. And right now, they have the power to force a vote on Medicare for all. And as we're seeing with these $2,000 stimulus checks, if you can get some headlines, if you can force a vote, you can advance your issue. And all of a sudden, everybody realizes, hey, wait a minute, I'm not alone after all. I didn't realize that 73% of independents and 75% of Republicans and 85% of Democrats all favored the $2,000 checks. The same thing will happen for Medicare for all. Oh, I didn't realize the vast majority of independents, Republicans, and Democrats all want Medicare for all. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but they're just as high. They're in the 70 and 80 percentiles. Americans of every stripe want Medicare for all. Would easily pass in the House. And those who remain opposed will find they have no choice. It's just how politics works. When it does work, this is really politics at its best. When you're fighting for what's right, when you're fighting for what the people want, when the people have reached a consensus, and Medicare for All has certainly reached a consensus, and now because of the tight numbers, this relatively small number of progressives suddenly has power, real political power. So the People's Party, with their hashtag Force the Vote movement, is calling on these members of Congress to exercise that power. So I'm going to be, I'm tuning in tonight, 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern, for my loved ones in California, of which I have many. That would be, 7:30 Central, 5:30 California time. So boil up a bowl of ramen and sit down and join this town hall. I'm looking forward to it. And again, that's on our calendar. January 3rd is when they're going to vote on leadership. It's a hell of a week we have here in front of us. And in the meantime, if you want to go to hashtag Force the Vote, you will find contact information for all of these progressives. They also have a little suggested script for you if you want to use that to help you make your phone call or write your letter or email. Phone calls are the most effective, followed by letters, followed by emails. So there you go. Force the vote. Well, here, another story. The big headline everywhere yesterday, late in the day and into the evening, along with the $2,000 checks, was the vaccination. Joe had something to say about it. All of a sudden, reporters are scrambling to talk to experts. And we learn that Operation Warp Speed, that up to now has been universally praised, getting this vaccine up and running in record time. Yeah, everybody was happy about that. But then somebody sat down and just did the math. And at the rate we're vaccinating people right now, it will literally take 10 years to get everybody vaccinated. Now that's just insane. So obviously we have to pick up the pace. And the problem is, of course, what you'd expect the problem to be. There's no coordination at the federal level. They're dropping the ball, of course. The Orange Menace is literally dropping his golf ball on a daily basis, just dragging his big old tired ass back and forth from his ball to the golf cart. What a pathetic figure this guy is. So yeah, the vaccination pace is abysmal at the moment. States are complaining that they haven't gotten the doses they were promised. There's backlogs and delays, and Operation Warp Speed is not really living up to its name at the moment. So the president-elect, to his credit, gives it to us straight. right between the eyes, just like a president ought to do. Says, listen, man. And that's the way he talks. I kind of like him because that's the way I talk too. Listen, man. Come on, man. He said, no, this pace won't do. And he promised. He's been promising 100 million doses in the first 100 days. He's going to ramp this thing up. But even there, do the math on that one. That's a simple one. Okay, everybody, math in our heads. 100 million doses over 100 days. That's 1 million doses per day. Yeah, even I could do that one. But again, simple math. That's not getting everybody vaccinated in a matter of months. That's more like a couple of years. In order to meet this big goal that was laid out for us, that by the end of June, that's what everybody's been telling us, by the end of June, we got this thing done. The pace required is 3 million per day. That ain't gonna happen. Joe is promising this 1 million a day, which in itself would be a huge accomplishment, and bully for him if he does it. But simple math tells you that we're looking at least a year. This ain't 6 months. This is at least a year, more like 18 months, possibly 24 months. So in a way, we're back at square one. And I know you don't want to hear this, but it's just the damn truth. We're just right back at square one. Everybody has to mask up. Social distance. Stay home unless you have to go out for essential needs or for outdoor exercise. We're just right back where we were. Nothing really has changed much. Unless, of course, you're happy with 2,000 and 3,000 people dying every single goddamn day. This guy who was just elected to Congress from, was it Louisiana? 41 years old. Boom, dropped dead from the virus. 41 years old. No underlying conditions, no comorbidities. Nope. Just a guy who refused to wear a mask and had lots of indoor events. If you're eating in a restaurant, you're the biggest dope in the world. If you're going to the bar, you're a big old dope. You're either going to get it or spread it. So we're back at square one. Close down non-essential business. I don't give a damn about business. Pay our bills, pay our rent, put every available man and woman on the job, put the entire might of the U.S. military on the job so that essential goods and services are provided, education continues, people can remain safe, this vaccination gets into people's arms. It's not that we can't do it, it's just that so far we've been unwilling to do it. But you don't win a war without sacrifice, and this is a war, and we've just given up. And we're unwilling to sacrifice. And it's taking too long, and it's too hard, and we're just giving up. But I'm telling you, unless you get down with the cause here, it's going to be another year or 2 or 3 if we just continue to ball this thing up. I have a prediction. Have a prediction for 2021. Have you seen the air purifying helmet? A friend of mine just bought one. It looks like a big old space helmet that rests on your shoulders, and it completely encloses your head. It's like you're in space or underwater, and the air is strictly your internal air provided by the device. And this, I believe, will be commonplace before 2021 is over. Remember in the early days, I remember, this might still be true in certain areas of the country. In the early days, if I wore a mask, I was usually the only person wearing a mask. And I'd go into a store and everybody look at me like I'm crazy, like I'm some damn alien or Michael Jackson or something. It was weird to wear a mask. If you were one of the first ones to wear a mask, you were looked at funny. You might have been openly ridiculed. Yeah, if you were one of the early mask wearers, you know what I'm talking about. But after a while, at least in certain areas, masks became universal. Some places had mask mandates, many places did. A lot of us are asking Joe Biden to declare a nationwide mask mandate. I don't know, we'll see if he does that. But the point is, at least where I am, now I see no one without a mask. If I'm in a store, every single person has a mask, without exception. It's completely common. Well, I think the same thing's going to happen for this air purifying helmet. It's going to, the first people who wear them out in public are going to look like aliens. They're going to just look like Diver Dan. They're going to be mocked and ridiculed. People make jokes about them. And then over time, everybody's going to have one. Of course, the problem is they're quite expensive. I wonder how much an air purifying helmet costs. Here, let's look that up. I didn't do that little bit of research before I talked to you today. I'm seeing one here. Oh my goodness. 500, 2,300, 1,500, 600. Yeah, these are pretty damned expensive. Wow. Okay, here's one that's only 230. Here's one only 180. All right, we're getting down there into reasonable territory. I wonder if they're just as good. Yeah, it looks like you're going to have to spend at least a couple $100, and more like 500 or 600, or maybe up to 1,000 to get one that's really quality here. Huh. All right. Well, maybe that changes my prediction a little bit. Most people won't be able to afford the air purifying helmet. Yeah, that might change my prediction. I'll alter it just a little bit. I think it's going to be commonplace in select areas, the posh neighborhoods. Here in Milwaukee, go over to the east side, Lakeshore Drive here, and the people who go on down to Sendix on Downer. They'll all be walking around with their air purifying helmets. Yeah, the rich liberals. The rich liberals will have them. Well, we haven't spent a lot of time on this sort of thing, but of course, the end of the year, we have our top 10 lists, best of this, best of that. We just talked about the most admired men and women. Well, the lie of the year is always something that we look forward to reading. This one, according to PolitiFact, one of the many fact checkers. Lie of the year, coronavirus, downplay and denial. Yeah, not much competition there. Of course, lie of the year in a year of an election, and especially with the Orange Menace on the scene, I guess there were some other lies that may have been in competition. If not for the pandemic, the Orange Menace saying I won this election by a lot, in a landslide, and that the Democrats stole it through fraud, I think that would easily be the lie of the year. If not for the pandemic. But yeah, there's no competition here. There's absolutely no competition. Earlier in the year, the Orange Menace himself was named by an international body as the single most dangerous source of information on the planet, the most prolific purveyor of fake news. So there you go. The lie of the year, that the virus wasn't serious, was a hoax, would go away like magic. Anyway, I don't want to get back into all that. But there it is, your 2020 lie of the year. All right. Okay, so there you go. That's it for today. I'm going to do everything I can. I'm not sure what tomorrow brings, but I'm going to do everything I can to send us into 2021 with some positive thoughts and ideas. All right, shall we do that? I might need some help. All right, I love you. That's the log for today. I'm Charles Purcell.